Four kings in the microphone. Coobie, both luck and dough. Four kings in the microphone. Coobie, both luck and dough. Four kings in the microphone. Coobie, both luck and dough.
Welcome everyone back to the BlaqSkooz Fools Show. And today we're going to get on the topic of the demise of the Black family and how we can reconstruct the Black family. It's been a trying week for us all. This is your boy, Coach Dunn. Big luck.
Here you go, Coobie in the house.
And of course, Coach Bo Black. Call me anything but crazy.
Anything but crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And also, everybody, make sure y'all go to our YouTube page, BlaqSkooz Fools YouTube page. So you can watch our whole video, the whole show on BlaqSkooz Fools YouTube page. And also email us some topics or conversations at BlaqSkoozFools@gmail.com.
You got to spell
and
it
that's
Black
spelled
Schools.
BlaqSkooz@gmail.com.
Sound like you was at a spelling bee.
Sound like he went to a black school.
Right.
Talking crazy.
All right, let's jump right into it. All the topics that we've talked about in the past, but it's been a month now. This is our fifth show. Congratulations, we did it a month. All the topics that we talked about, I think, has led to our topics tonight: the demise of the Black family and the reconstruction of the Black family. If we date back to ancient times, I think the first thing that was the demise of the Black family was slavery. And if we talk about slavery, it could go both ways. It made us stronger in some points, and it divided us in other points. So I mean, how do you think slavery impacted us, Bo?
Of course, it tore our families apart. But not only that, you could just talk about the whole government here in the United States. They've done everything from incarceration to schooling. All of that played a part in destroying the Black family. I think slavery was just a part of it. I think slavery was just a part. But also, I want to mention this early, and I might be, the bad guy in the conversation today. I don't really look at it as a demise no more, because I think times is changing and people is changing and the structure of family is changing. And, not to get too deep into it, but, of course we got women marrying women and men marrying men. So I think people's minds are a little more open nowadays. So, from a family standpoint, I can't just say the destruction. I think it's, families are changing. The concept of marriage is changing. You got people nowadays who say they're not getting married. You get what I'm saying? Because everything is a concept. And there's nobody to say who's right or wrong, because everything has been imposed on us by, I guess, the land that we live in, right? Because you could go places where people can have multiple wives. And
so let's talk about the right or wrong, though. Is that based on religion? Because, I mean, that's how we were taught. Everything was right and wrong based on religion back in the days. I mean, you think that's the cause of it?
That can be the cause of it. But again, it gets real deep, right? Because even with religion, we was enslaved by the Bible. We was enslaved by Christianity. We was taught to wait for Jesus to come back to save us. And if we stayed waiting on Jesus, we still all be slaves, right? So when you look at a book that's been used to oppress you, how could you say what's right and what's wrong, right? It's all principles of what we should live by. So I look at it like that. I'm clearly open-minded on the whole concept of, yes, it's nice to see a Black mother, a Black father with their kids together. That's probably the strongest unit. But at the same time, who am I to say? I've seen plenty of single mothers, and even though single is a relationship status and not as far as it's not parenting to me, I've seen plenty of parents raise kids well on their own, whether with help or whether with a significant other in the house and that. So I clearly don't like to put stigmas on anything when it comes to what families should and shouldn't be, because you know, people change. Some people have kids by themselves. Some women are now having kids by themselves without a man, you know, so.
But do you think it makes it harder, you know, when you do it by yourself like this? We have great dads, we have great moms that, you know, become single parents. And I think they just struggle more. They do a great job, but it's the struggle, you know, the working the two jobs, the mom having to teach the son how to be a man, the dad trying to teach the daughter how to be a woman. So that's the whole point of the conversation, is like, bring it back.
All right, we got
like, it doesn't have to be just family, period, you know, because we have so many nationalities now, so it's not just a black thing.
Yeah, you went Megatron on us for a little while, but I totally understand what you're saying. But you look at parenting, to me, right? So if you look at parenting, if you really plan on being a parent, when you talk about planning about being financially stable, you know, somewhere to live, and you have, you know, everything lined up for you, I think it becomes much easier. Now, when you talk about maybe having a kid as a teenager or having a kid fresh out of college where you still trying to find yourself, that's where I think the struggle come in. I worked with a lady and she had her first son. Well, she had her only son through natural, fertilization. Mm-hmm. And she had him at 40 something. She loved it. And the funny thing, the running joke, he always asked her, who was your dad? She just tell him Freddie Cougar, you know? So, you know, that's
so, I mean, do you think it's
how I
like,
look at it.
So you think wedlock? Because I'm gonna confidently say about 90% of us was born off of a oops. You know, we probably weren't playing. So, you know, the whole, I mean, if you touch back to the Bible, it's like you're not even supposed to have sex until you're married, but that's very unrealistic. I ain't gonna
but
say
that's
nowadays,
what I'm saying about
period.
time change.
Right.
That's what I mean about everything changes. So how we look at family might need to change, right? I think that's the thing, like what family really is. And you have a lot of people who, you know, and I don't like the sayings on the internet or the memes to be funny, but, you know, people be like, you know, I have friends that's much closer than my family, you know, because that's probably who they spend the most time with, or maybe they've been burnt by a family member before, or they just never really connected with their family. You get what I mean? So I think a lot of times the traditional family is not as traditional anymore. So I'm not really leaning any type of way. I think you do what works to you. Yes, it looks good to see a mom, dad, and their kids together, and that could be a strong bond. But at the same time, you see it every day where people raise great kids from all type of backgrounds. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can have a mother and father and still have no parent.
True.
If you understand what I'm saying.
That is absolutely true.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not just that we have to have a mother and a father, or, you know, just the mother or just the father. Yep. You know, it's what you teach your child, no matter who's raising them. The key word is number one thing is,
the key word is being attentive, because you could be home and not at home at the same time, and that happens a lot.
And then you want to also teach the kid how to be respectful. It's not, you know, we got to instill in our kids the respect. You know, elders, police, teachers, everybody that's older than you. You know, when we was being raised, when I was being raised, you did not disrespect the elder, no matter who it was. Anybody older than you, you just didn't disrespect them. You know, all of that went by the waistline now, because you got these kids straight up disrespecting elders, and that's not the way it is. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's not supposed to be. And that's the part that we got to start instilling in our kids, no matter which way you put it, with the parent, without the parent. Because I was
see how you said we though? You said we though, right?
And that I'm talking about all of us.
No, when I said we, mean it's not I thing, and a lot of times it's like mom by herself. You know, when it's we, and you have more people of authority, like mom, dad, grandmom, granddad, or uncle, aunt. When it's a village, because see, people like myself, I'm put in positions to become a father figure to a lot of people because they're fatherless. And that's the whole point of me saying that, is because if the Black family was strong, you know, I would still be around, but I wouldn't have to do as much. Like, I'm put into situations all the time because there are a whole lot of fathers not present.
But you know what's funny? I think that's a cop-out a lot of times. And I'm not saying a woman could teach a man. I grew up my mom in New York and my dad in Virginia. And I know I made probably a lot of mistakes along the way. And my mom did a great job, I think, raising me. And I think it's a stigma. You know, of course, it'd be great to have the dad around. But if you telling a kid that that's a reason, I think that gives them a cop-out. I really don't look at it like that. You should not. I never even noticed my dad wasn't there because he just wasn't there. So if you have somebody keep telling you or keep hearing this notion that, oh, they fatherless, their dad is not there, then you start to question like, well, I have a reason that I can act a certain way, or I have a reason. To me, that's kind of like a cop-out, because I never paid it any mind. I was so much, you know, maybe I love my mom that much. And then when I look at it like this, imagine if you did have your dad there and your mother and your father, you know, you saw violence or you saw drug abuse, or, you know, you just never know what he might bring into that equation. So that's why I always say, like, to me, that's a cop-out. Don't use that as a crutch that your dad is not there. You know, don't let society place that burden on you like you need somebody. Of course, you know, our environments might be bad, but let's not make that excuse because your father wasn't there. Like, to me, that's a stigma that could be erased. Women can do a great job at raising young men. I think my mom did a great job regardless of the trials and tribulations I went through. And I think kids, when they hear certain things, they know how to play on that. So
but it's like to each his own though, because every kid ain't strong enough to like,
you can build that strength from there. If you keep saying, to me, it's almost like talking. It's almost like talking bad about a negative dad who's done negative things, right? You know, to me, I grew up out of sight, out of mind. I never really even paid it no mind that he wasn't. When I saw him, I was happy. You know, I knew who he was.
But why do you think that though? Did you have other male figures in your life that took the place of a dad? See?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't miss something because you have substitutes.
Well, I think it probably was between basketball and my friends is my friends. The same guys I grew up with in Harlem are still the same friends I have today. I've been fortunate enough to have great friends, whether I was in Harlem, whether I was in Richmond, Virginia, or whether I was at Virginia State. You get what I'm saying? I have been fortunate enough to have great friends. So whether older or younger, for real, I honestly, maybe I just was in my own world. I never paid it no mind. And as I got older and as I hear people say, you know, you missing something, to me, you start to place negativity in a young person's mind. I think that's the last thing they need to hear. Work with what you have and appreciate what you have is how I look at it.
Well, sometimes that happens to kids because other kids have both parents. You know what I'm saying? And they come to the games and they you know, the dad and the mom is at the game and they both cheering for their kid. And you know, and the funny thing is those parents that have both with their child, they tend to gravitate to the kid that only has one parent. If you ever notice that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They know that they grab that kid, you know, if he don't have a father in his life, you know, they always go to the mother and ask, do you mind if we, you know, if he can come over and spend the night or the weekend with us? And, you know, just to give that kid a father figure style, you know what I'm saying? And then that's when that doubt comes into mind because he goes home and now he wants to know why my dad ain't around.
It's crazy. It's crazy you say that though, Cool. It's like all the friends that I know that had fathers and the ones that didn't know had fathers, they end up being more successful than the ones that had the father around. You know,
Right.
I guess it's because they had to fend for themselves and figure things out on their own.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So
that's why I said. Go ahead, Luck.
Nah, so it's like it's a catch-22. It's like we want the dads around because we want responsible parents. You know, we're not saying that we don't want dads around because kids end up being more self-sufficient and all. But like Bo was saying, like sometimes when you grow up without that presence there, you don't miss it because you don't know it's not there when you have other substitutes to fill the void.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times we had those. So I know I did. You know, I had some great, you know, male figures help raise me with coaches, and you know, my mom remarried, or you know, uncles. So it was a lot of male positive role models in my life to fill that void. You know, so, but you know, the whole demise of the Black family, it's not just about, you know, the dad not being there. It's other factors that lead to it, you know, like money, incarceration. I'm gonna say the success of a Black female. There's a lot of, like, the way it is now is like,
look, hold that thought. Hold that thought right there. You're listening to BlaqSkooz Fools, and we be right back right after this.